Hi students, this is Pransa, Assistant Professor, Perry Institute of Technology. Today I am going to discuss about indexing and hashing from subject database management system, subject code CS8492 for second year, fourth semester, 2017 regulation students. So unit 4 implementation techniques. I am going to discuss on topics indexing, hashing, and the two types of hashing, static hashing and dynamic hashing, and the different types of indexing like primary indexing, clustered indexing, secondary indices, multi-level indices. So before that, I'll tell you what is file organization and what is a file. File is a collection of records, so using which we retrieve the data. It is used to describe the way in which records are stored in terms of blocks, and the blocks are placed on the storage medium. So this file organization can be of different types. So it can be stored like a sequential file organization, heap file organization, hash file organization. In sequential file organization, where the files are stored sequentially. In heap file, it is the most basic type of organization. It works with data blocks where the records are inserted at the file's end. And in hash file organization, here the computation of hash function on some fields of the records. The hash function's output determines the location of disk block where the records are to be placed. So now let me explain you what is indexing. So indexing, it is a data structure technique which is used to retrieve records from the database files. So here the records are retrieved based on some attributes on which indexing has to be done. Indexing is defined based on its indexing attributes. So indexing can be of different types. So as I told you before, if the file is in sequential file organization or ordered index files, this ordered indexing is of two types. Dense index, sparse index are the two types of ordered indexing. So in dense index, the index record will be there for every search key value in the database. In sparse index, the index record appears only for a few items in a data file. So this is the example for dense index and sparse index. In dense index, for each and every search key value, we have the index record. For each and every data file, you will be having the index record. Whereas in sparse index, so very few search value in a data file will have the index record. So hence we have the name sparse index. So next type of indexing is primary index. So here in primary index, the data is retrieved by using the primary key, as well as the primary index file will be in ordered index. So here the data is sorted according to the search key and the primary key of the database table, which is used to create the index. Next is clustered indices. So here we will not use any key to retrieve the data. Plus this clustered indices is also a ordered indices. So the definition is when more than two records are stored in the same file, these types of storing is known as clustered indexing. So here is an example of students studying in each semester or grouped together. So first semester, second semester, third semester students are grouped together. So if we have records with similar characteristics are grouped together and the indexes are created for those groups, we call that as clustered indices. Next one is secondary indices. In secondary indexing, to reduce the size of mapping, another level of indexing is introduced. So that is secondary indexing. In this method, the huge range for the columns is selected initially so that the mapping size of the first level becomes small. Then each range is further divided into smaller ranges. The mapping of the first level is stored in the primary memory so that the address fetch is faster. The mapping of the second level and actual data are stored in secondary memory, that is hard disk. So here is the example of the bank account database. So the data is stored sequentially by account number. So you may want to find the all the accounts of a specific branch of ABC Bank. So this is the intermediate index and this is the data file. So instead of direct connection between the data file and the record, here there is the intermediate level so that the mapping size is reduced, that is becomes small. Next one is multi-level index. So here you will be having the many levels in between the data file and the data blocks. So you call this as multi-level index. So this multi-level index is stored on the disk along with the actual database files. So as the database size grows, the size of the indices also grows. Multi-level index, it helps in breaking down the index into several smaller indices in order to make the outermost level so small. Then it can be saved in a single disk block level, which can be easily accommodated anywhere in the main memory. So the next topic is hashing. So it is a technique used to calculate the direct location of a data record on the disk without using the indexing structure. So in hashing, you are going to directly calculate the location of the data record. So here the data is stored at the data blocks. So here the address is generated by using the hash function. The memory location where these records are stored is known as data bucket or data blocks. So there are some important terminologies used in hashing: data bucket, key, hash function, linear probing, quadratic probing, hash index, double hashing, and bucket overflow. So these are the important terminologies used in hashing. So there are two types of SQL hashing methods: static hashing and dynamic hashing. So in static hashing, the data bucket address will always remain the same. So therefore, if you generate address for any student ID, say for student ID equal to 10, using hashing function mod of 3, the resultant bucket address will always be 1. So you will not see any change in the bucket address. So static, there is no change. So you call this as static hashing. The number of data buckets in memory always remain constant. Static hashing is further divided into open hashing and close hashing. So in open hashing, when a hash function generates an address at which data is already stored, then the next bucket will be allocated to it. So you call this method as linear probing. For example, so R3 is a new address which needs to be inserted in the hash function, The hash function generates address as 112 for R3, but the generated address is full. So the system searches next available data bucket, that is 113, and assigns R3 to it. Close hashing. When buckets are full, then a new data bucket is allocated for the same hash result and is linked after the previous one. This mechanism is known as overflow chaining. So I'll take the same example. R3, which is the new address which is need to be inserted into the table. The hash function generates address as 110 for it, but this bucket is full to store new data. A new bucket is inserted at the end of 110 and is linked to it. Next type is dynamic hashing. The dynamic hashing method is used to overcome the problems of static hashing like bucket overflow. So in this method, data buckets grow and shrink as the records increases or decreases. So you can insert how many buckets you want, or you can decrease the buckets. So this method is also known as extendable hashing method. This method makes hashing dynamic, that is, it allows insertion or deletion without resulting in poor performance. So let's see how to insert a new record into the dynamic hashing. So let's take the grouping of keys into the buckets. So depending on the prefix of their hash address, so if it is 1, a hash address is generated. So let's take this example, data records and data buckets. So here these are the index 2 bits which is used to insert the values in the buckets. The last 2 bits of 2 and 4 are 0, so it will go to bucket B0. So 5 and 6 is 0 1, that is bucket B, it goes into bucket B1. The last 2 bits of 1 and 3 will be 1 0, so it will go to bucket B2, and the last 2 bits of 7 will be 1 1, so it goes to B3. So now we have to insert key 9 with the hash address. The hash address for 9 is 10001. So here in this example, so you have to insert 9 in the B1. But the bucket is full. It is with 5, 9 from 6. Since last 3 bits of 5, 9 are 001, it will go into the bucket B1, and last 3 bits of 6 are 101, so it will go into bucket B5. So that's how it's inserted here. So we are going to split the 2 bits into 3 bits. Since the bucket B1 is filled already with 5 and 6, so we cannot insert 9 here. So we have split the bits into 3 bits, and then we have inserted 5 9 in B1, and we have moved B6 to B5. So this is how we insert key values in dynamic hashing. And advantages of dynamic hashing. So here the performance does not decrease as the data grows in the system. It simply increases the size of memory to accommodate the data. In this method, memory is well utilized as it grows and shrinks with the data. There will not be any unused memory lying. So this method is good for the dynamic database where data grows and shrinks frequently. Thank you.